At this hour, the Central Bureau of Investigation has filed its first charge sheet in the Punjab National Bank fraud case today. This charge sheet, filed in a Mumbai court, names 25 people, including the key perpetrator Nirav Modi and several top Punjab National Bank executives. Utkarsh Chaturvedi, who has been tracking that story very closely from day one, joins us with more details. Utkarsh, what did the charge sheet exactly have to say and how many people have been named?
So this is a 7,500 pages charge sheet filed by CBI. In this case, around 220 documents have been submitted as proof. 25 accused, out of them 3 are firms, and 22 people have been named as accused. Subhash Param, Nishal Modi and Nirav Modi now are officially declared absconding in this charge sheet. What is more important is the 3 new names, apart from the ones who were arrested, comes in the charge sheet. One is Usha Ananthasubramanian, the former MD and CEO of PNB, Brahmaji Rao, ED PNB, Sanjeev Saran and Nehal Ahad, who was the general manager PNB. Now what CBI says in its investigation is that the senior management did not really follow the RBI guideline to link SWIFT transactions to the core banking system, and taking advantage of it, the lower officials, Gokulath Chetty, Hemant Kharat, went ahead and really instrumented the whole scam, obviously along with Nirav Modi. Now, if you look at the lower officials of PNB, Gokulath Chetty, Manoj Kharat, Hemant Bhatt, Bachu Tiwari, who is the ex-chief manager of the PNB department, are also part of the charge sheet. Now, what's going to happen ahead is that, given the fact that Nirav Modi is declared an absconder here, going ahead, the whole process of getting him back will be much smoother for the CBI. Also, we have to wait for 2 to 3 days when the Mehul Choksi charge sheet has been filed, because this is for the scam of 6,500 crore rupees done by Nirav Modi. There will be a separate charge sheet which will be filed by CBI in the next 2 to 3 days against Mehul Choksi as well.
All right, so more to come from CBI in the charge sheets that will be filed in the coming few days. Utkarsh, they're reporting on the PNB scam, but we'll stay with that story. Punjab National Bank has divested 2 of its executive directors of their charge, and that's not all. Disciplinary action has been initiated against Usha Ananthasubramanian, the former PNB MD, as well. Now, this directive follows from the Finance Ministry that is cracking the whip on errant bankers. Sapna Das, who has been tracking these developments, joins us now. Sapna, clearly the government is tightening the screws on errant bank officials.
Well, clearly the government has cracked the whip as far as the top management of certain banks are concerned. The 2 EDs of Punjab National Bank and of course the MD of Allahabad Bank, at least the PNB EDs have been divested of the charge. The decision has already been taken. An emergency board meeting of Allahabad Bank will be called by the government director to go forward on the Allahabad Bank MD's issue as well. The charge sheets are in. Well, we don't know exactly what those accounts of complicity are, but it's sufficient to say that since the government has gone ahead and taking this kind of a huge step, well, the complicity has been kind of proved. Apart from this, the government will also be meeting up all the public sector banks sometime this month. They're starting off with those banks which are under the prompt corrective action on 17th May. The remaining banks will follow suit in this month itself. We can expect some more instructions to come in from the government as far as the PCA banks are concerned. Some issues have been raised about Dena Bank, especially about RBI's warning on Friday that they can't lend further and nor can they recruit further. So there is a question mark now hanging on the health of the remaining 10 banks which are under the prompt corrective action. Probably the net may widen on them as well. Apart from this, the government is also expected to take some further steps in trying to tighten the management in terms of any kind of a leeway that they might have in terms of the lending operations. So it may be possible that the government may use technology, technology more in the coming time to basically address that issue. But we have to wait for the banking secretary probably to make an announcement. So all eyes on the banking space. One big step taken by the government in terms of cracking down on top management of PSB banks after the Nirav Modi scam, and this may not end here. There could be more investigations which are on the cards.
This is the clear message.
Action initiated.
That we have to be responsible for what we do, and we will only do action whenever there is a substantial proof, not that one can start on rumors or something. So we gave sufficient time to understand, to investigate who is responsible, who is not responsible, whose fault, how much fault, and thereafter the day we came to know that this is what it is, the action initiates on the same day.
A group of ministers headed by Assam Finance Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma met in the capital today to deliberate whether or not cess should be imposed on sugar. They, however, could not come to a decision today. The panel will meet once again in Mumbai on the 3rd of June. The chairman of the committee is the Finance Minister of Assam, Himanta Biswa Sarma. He is confident that a report will be finalized before the next meeting of the GST Council, which is in June. Kerala's Finance Minister Thomas Isaac made his views very clear. He argued that a sugar cess will worsen the financial imbalance between the centre and the states. CNBC TV18's Timsy Jaipuria caught up with the members of the panel soon after that meeting was over to find out more.
Two fundamental questions has emerged that whether within the present GST architecture, Council has the power to impose cess or we don't have the power to impose cess. We know that to address the compensation issue, we can impose cess. But whether on other issues, we can impose cess or not. So now that question will go to Law Ministry. The second question has emerged. Suppose we have the power and ultimately we decided to levy the cess, whether it will go to the farmers or it will go to the mill owners. So what are the safeguards Food Ministry can prescribe that no, it will not go to the mill owners, but it will go to the farmers. So that second question we must know.
Kerala took its openly stated position. We are against imposing a sugar cess. But there was a sugar support scheme operating that should be allowed to continue. It has been in front of a government of India budget, I think. So we want to know more details regarding that, how it was done in the past. Two, does the GST Council have the right to impose additional cess under the given present law? What are the opinions of the legal committee on this? Three, what are the alternatives to cess to support the farmers? My position has been, let's have a surcharge on the higher brackets of income tax, or let's tweak the import duty so that sufficient funds are raised.
For Tamil Nadu, we totally not at all with that proposal. We objected. That's just that.
What did you say? Why did you object it?
No, but it's actually burden to the public and burden to the customers. No, all that. That is the main issue. So based on that, we have given our suggestions, and we actually.
What was your suggestion?
Not to levy cess 3 rupees per kg.
Straight to the latest on the government's electric vehicle push. Sources tell us that the Department of Heavy Industries has proposed incentives worth over 9,000 crore rupees to encourage automakers to move towards green mobility. We learned that the department is also planning to extend its FAME policy, or faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles. Ashpreet Sethi joins us now with more details on this story. Ashpreet, what are you picking up in terms of this particular policy?
Well, yes, quite a clear indication coming in from the government here. No EV policy, FAME 2 will be implemented soon. Now, what we pick up from sources is that the cabinet note has already been floated, a draft one, as far as interministerial consultations are concerned. Now, what we pick up, the main point being that as far as the whole outlay is concerned, that's about 9,381 crore. But the main point here being that the government is pushing that all those buses and heavy vehicles which are exclusively being used for public transport will be given a special thrust. The second point, of course, being as far as Make in India component is concerned, it's a must to get the incentives that will be given under the FAME 2 policy. Remember, FAME 2 policy will be looking at going ahead and incentivizing all those vehicles which are electric. Now, of course, another point being that as far as venture capital fund is concerned, that about 500 odd crore rupees has been allocated. Now, remember, there are a lot of startups which are looking at entering the electric vehicle space. Now, also, we do pick up that plug and strong hybrid vehicles will be part of FAME 2 policy. In fact, the demand incentives, as I said earlier, will be linked to the Make in India component. So these are the some of the issues which will be raised, discussed as far as FAME 2 scheme is concerned. But we'll have to wait and see when does it land on the cabinet's table.
Absolutely, Ashpreet. Thank you very much for joining in. On to some earnings now. FMCG giant HUL reported a stellar fourth quarter earnings. The company managed to beat street estimates on all major parameters. Domestic volume growth came in at 11% as against expectations of 6 to 8%. Mangalam Malu, company managed to beat street estimates on all major parameters. Domestic volume growth came in at 11% as against expectations of 6 to 8%. Mangalam Malu, who has been doing all the number crunching, joins us with more details. Mangalam, a fabulous quarter from HUL.
Well, Hindustan Unilever earlier had a product called Surf Excel. I mean, it does have a product called Surf Excel. Earlier ran with a tagline, Dho Dala. And that's exactly the word that I will use for these results on the fourth quarter. Because volume growth of 11%, no one on the street was expecting. The poll was anywhere between 6 to 8%. And strong volume growth with strong profitable growth. Because margins at 22.5% to above expectations of 21.3%. And the company posted a net profit of 1,351 crores, marginally higher than our expectations of 1,337 crores, but mind you, there was an exceptional loss of 64 crores. So if you adjust for that, the net profit has come in higher by to around that 1,400 crore mark is what I'm looking at. Our margins have expanded because the company has rationalized its costs. They've spent more on ads, so they haven't pulled back on advertisement expenses as well. Ad expenses have actually grown by 25%. So home care as well as personal care, the two biggest segments, which is also the mainstay of the company's earnings and revenue, have grown in double digits, gained market share as well as gained margins as well. With that, it's a complete washout as far as HUL numbers are concerned. The stock is at a record high ahead of an event tomorrow. Let's see how it pans out in trade. But as far as these numbers are concerned, no questions about the spotless nature, no dag on these numbers.
All right, Mangalam, we'll leave it at that. So very good set of numbers from HUL. But former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh has written a letter to President Ram Nath Kovind objecting to Prime Minister Modi's speech at Hubli in Karnataka. The letter, signed by Manmohan Singh and senior Congress leaders, has asked the President to caution the Prime Minister from using unwarranted, threatening and intimidating language against Congress or any other party. In fact, a copy of Modi's speech has also been attached to this letter. CNN News 18's Pallavi Ghosh joins us now. Pallavi, what were the remarks made by the Prime Minister and what else does the letter contain?
Well, the letter begins by a portion of the Constitution which talks about the way the Prime Minister and his cabinet colleagues are expected to conduct themselves. It also talks about the decorum or the decency which needs to be maintained, and that was the point which Dr. Manmohan Singh has used. He's making reference to a Hubli rally by the Prime Minister during the Karnataka elections campaigning, where the Prime Minister said that, you know, the Congress party should be very, very careful because he is Modi and he doesn't believe in mincing his words and actions, and he would not hesitate to take strong action against the Congress leaders. In his letter, Dr. Manmohan Singh has written to the President, which has also been signed by several other senior Congress leaders like Ahmed Patel, Mallikarjun Kharge and Chidambaram, among many, which says that there is a decorum which is attached to the office of the Prime Minister. That decorum has been breached by Narendra Modi, and therefore we appeal to you, the President, to give an advice to the Prime Minister that he should not cross the line of decency, because Congress is a national party. It's one of the oldest national parties, and the words of the Prime Minister are very menacing and therefore disapproving. So essentially that's the crux of the letter which Dr. Manmohan Singh has written about the Prime Minister to the President.
Panchayat polls in West Bengal have been marred with violence, with at least 6 people getting killed in poll-related clashes across the state. According to reports, 3 CPM workers, 1 BJP worker and 2 Trinamool workers have been killed in these clashes so far. TMC supporters have allegedly captured all the booths in Basanti block of South 24 Paraganas, while polling in Rajarhat has been disrupted by some unidentified people who poured water on ballot boxes. Weapons are also being openly brandished and bombs have been hurled at the police in some constituencies. Saugata Mukhopadhyay joins us now with more details on what exactly has transpired. Saugata.
Well, the reports of violence that you just spoke about, I can confirm you at this present point in time that the death toll, very, very unfortunately, has risen from the number that you stated, 6, to currently it stands at 12. At least 12 people have lost their lives on account of poll-related violence across the state today. Several hundred have been injured and are undergoing treatment at various hospitals across the state. Some of them are being treated in a critical condition. Obviously, there have have also been reports of large-scale electoral malpractices coming in from various parts of the state, various pockets of these 20-odd districts which went for the polls today. And the malpractices include booth capturing, booth jamming, destruction of ballot boxes, setting the ballot boxes on fire, pouring water inside ballot boxes, so on and so forth. There have been incidents of general public coming out on the streets. There was a very, very unfortunate incident of villagers ganging up against a set of outsiders who they alleged had come to participate in booth capturing by the ruling Trinamool Congress party, rounding them up and lynching these people. One of them, an MA student, a college student from outside Nadia district, was lynched to death in the Shantipur area of Nadia earlier today. So all of that happening in the course of the day's action. The opposition parties are currently holding demonstration right before the State Election Commission. Right now the left has organized a protest right now. The Congress protested a short while ago. The BJP has moved to the governor's house to lodge their set of protests. And most importantly, the Ministry of Home Affairs, we are told, have already asked for a report from the state government on the reports of violence that have been reported in the media. Of course, the State Election Commission as well as the Bengal government will have a very, very tough time explaining what has happened in the course of the Panchayat polls during the day today. We are still awaiting a formal response from the West Bengal State Election Commission, which is yet to give out the official figures on the death tolls that they have with them. But I just gave you the figures that we have been able to confirm from our side. But it also needs to be ascertained and mentioned in the same breath that the people who have died, the deceased, the victims, do not only belong to the opposition parties. There have been several Trinamool Congress workers as well who have died on account of the violence that have happened today, and the allegations have been leveled against the opposition parties. And what is very, very important at the same time is most of these deaths have occurred on account of gunshot injuries. They sustained bullet injuries and succumbed to them either on the spot or later at the hospital, which will also give you an idea as to the rampant criminalization and lumpenization that has taken place in electoral politics in Bengal today, which was already being apprehended for the last month and a half or so. So obviously, Mamata Banerjee has a tough task at hand explaining as to what happened in Bengal in the course of the day's action today. Back to you.
So, Agatha, thank you very much for joining us. And as he mentioned, the death toll has risen to 12 people and over 100 are injured so far. In fact, the TMC MP Derek O'Brien tweeted reacting to this violence in the Bengal Panchayat polls. He said, and I quote, "To all newborn experts on Bengal, Panchayat elections in the state have a history. 400 killed in poll violence in 1990s in the CPIM rule, 2003, 40 dead. Every death is a tragedy and now closer to normal than earlier times. Yes, few dozen incidents, say 40 out of 58,000 booths. What's the percentage?" End quote. Right, a big development in the Sunanda Pushkar death drove 4 years after she was found dead in a 5-star hotel in South Delhi. The Delhi police has concluded its investigation, calling it a suicide and not a murder. But there's no clean chit for Shashi Tharoor. In the charge sheet, the police accused the Congress MP of abetting his wife to commit suicide. He also has been charged with cruelty in his marriage. Shashi Tharoor took to Twitter refuting the charges. He wrote, and I quote, "I have taken note of the filing of this preposterous charge sheet and intend to contest it vigorously. No one who knew Sunanda believes she would ever have committed suicide, let alone abetment on my part." Unquote. He further questions the methods and motivations of Delhi police in conducting this probe and calls the charges against him as unbelievable.